Last week, we started talking about having difficult conversations with others. And we talked about some strategies of how to prepare for those difficult conversations and how to navigate them. And it's important that we just take a moment to reflect on the fact that when you have difficult conversations, or when you're going to, not all of them can be planned ahead of time, but in the work world, many of them can. And it's important that we recognize that to really have a difficult conversation, we, the ones who have to instigate it, there's a little bit more that falls to our shoulders. There's a little bit more responsibility that we bear and that we should bear. No matter whether or not we like it, want to do it, are good at it, not great at it, I think we can all agree that in our lives, whether personally or professionally, we have to have difficult conversations. Life is just not filled with all rainbows and butterflies and unicorns. We have to have sometimes difficult conversations about very, very serious topics. When we have difficult conversations that don't turn out well, we have to be able to be prepared for that in advance. Hope that it doesn't happen, but be prepared in case it does. And that requires even more reflection ahead of time, as well as the ability to calm situations. Why does this happen? Well, there's a lot of reasons just from us being human beings, but I think at the end of the day is that depending on certain circumstances and situations, depending on how tense we may be, that we can move to anger and disruption and eruption very quickly, especially when we feel like things are coming at us without us knowing. Now, today, as I talk about how to navigate situations that are difficult discussions that turn bad, I'm not actually going to talk about violence. But I want to acknowledge this, that there are times that difficult discussions in personal life and business life can turn violent. We have to be aware and recognize when those signs of danger may occur. When we have difficult conversations that don't go well, often we assume that the first reaction from somebody would be anger, because most people will show some sort of outward or even inward reactions that resemble anger. They might bristle, they might sit up straight, they might cross their arms together, they might start shaking their head, they might get louder. And as human beings, our first response to anger when we are having difficult conversations is what? Often our first reactions to anger are panic, fear. They might be even defensive. It might be, I don't even know how to handle this. But when we first recognize those signs of anger, this is actually the time to turn on empathy and get in tune with where someone truly is, not just where we assume they are. Now, the balance here turns into often conflict. So conflict, by definition as a noun, is a serious disagreement or argument, typically a long one. As a verb, it would mean to be incompatible or at variance, to clash. In other words, we are not working from the same perspective. We are not seeing things from the same perspective. So when we have difficult conversations that don't go according to our plan, it falls to us to say, what is my role in creating this conflict? What emotions are you feeling right now? So in this moment, diffusing a bad situation actually requires tactics that are very, very different and that some people are not all comfortable with. Oftentimes, we're taught that as leaders, especially, our job is to remain in that leadership role. I'm the leader, so I'm going to control this situation. I'm going to tell you how we're going to do this. Not saying that we don't have to do that sometimes. But if we're truly human beings dealing with human beings, and if the roles were reversed, wouldn't we want someone to say, in essence, I see you. I see that you're upset. I see that you're hurting. I see that I think you're angry. Let's just take a moment. Can you tell me what you're feeling right now? Now, I'm not saying this will diffuse every situation, but what it will do is throw off the momentum that's being built.